So I think it's a feeling a lot of our listeners can relate to, Sophie. You've studied English for years, maybe since you were a kid. You can read articles, you understand movies, you might even have a great vocabulary. But then you get into a real life situation, like a work meeting, and someone asks for your opinion and nothing. Your mind just goes blank.
Oh, completely. It's that freeze. I remember a specific time early in my career. I was in a video call with senior managers. I knew my stuff, I had prepared, but when my boss said, "Sophie, what are your thoughts?" It was like a wall came down in my brain. Mhm. The wall. Yeah. And you're sitting there, you have the idea in your head, but the English words feel like they're on the other side of that wall. And by the time you found them, the moment has passed. The conversation has moved on. It's incredibly frustrating.
It is. And I think to understand why that happens, we have to look at how most of us were taught English. In school, it's treated like any other academic subject. The goal is to get a good grade on a test.
Right. It's all about accuracy, fill in the blanks, grammar drills.
Exactly. The system rewards you for being correct on paper, but a real time conversation isn't a written test. There's no backspace key. It moves fast, it's unpredictable. And if your brain has been trained to prioritize grammatical perfection above all else, it short circuits. You're so busy checking for errors that you miss the actual point of the conversation.
It's like carrying the good student mindset into the real world. You don't want to hand in a bad essay, so you don't want to say a bad sentence. But that perfectionism is paralyzing.
That's the perfect way to put it. And it fuels the other big problem mental translation.
Oh, definitely. Thinking everything in your native language first, and then trying to build the English sentence word by word in your head before you speak.
Which is just, it's an impossible task. The cognitive load is immense. You're trying to listen to the other person, formulate your own thought, translate it, check the grammar, and then finally speak. Your brain can't do all of that at once.
And it never sounds natural anyway. Languages have different rhythms and structures. The way you'd express an idea in Spanish or Japanese is fundamentally different from how you'd say it in English. A direct translation often sounds clunky and strange.
Exactly. It doesn't sound like you. And that brings us to what I think is the biggest barrier of all. It's not vocabulary, it's not grammar, it's psychology. It's the fear of making a mistake.
The fear of being judged or sounding incompetent, especially at work.
Precisely. You are a talented professional. You're an expert in your field. But you worry that if you stumble over your words in English, your colleagues won't see your expertise. They'll just hear the language errors.
It's a form of imposter syndrome, isn't it? You feel like you're fooling people and your English is going to give you away. And that fear leads to avoidance. You stay quiet in meetings, you don't volunteer for presentations.
And that avoidance creates a vicious cycle. You don't speak because you lack confidence, but you can only build confidence by speaking. So you get stuck.
Right. So we have this perfect storm, a school system focused on perfection, the habit of mental translation, and a deep seated fear of judgment. It's no wonder so many adults feel blocked.
So let's pivot. Let's talk about the antidote. What actually works? If the old way isn't working, what's the new way forward?
For me, the single most important change is a mental one. It's shifting your goal. The goal is not to speak perfect, flawless English. The goal is to communicate your idea. That's it.
Connection over correction.
Exactly. Did the other person understand your message? Yes? Then you succeeded. It doesn't matter if you used a simple word instead of a fancy one or if you mixed up a preposition. Communication happened. That's the win.
It's like learning to ride a bike. You don't start by trying to win the Tour de France. You start by just trying to stay upright for a few feet. You're gonna wobble, you're gonna be unsteady, you might even fall, but that's part of the process. You can't get to smooth riding without the wobble.
That's such a great analogy. And it means giving yourself permission to wobble in English, to hesitate, to say, or let me think. Because here's the secret native speakers do it constantly.
Constantly. We're doing it right now. Real unscripted speech is not like a movie script. It's messy, it has pauses and self corrections. Those imperfections are features of natural speech, not bugs.
Okay, so once you start to adopt that mindset, what's a practical, tangible strategy? What's the first step?
I always say it starts with input. You have to fill the well. You need massive amounts of listening and reading. Your brain needs to absorb the patterns, the rhythm, and the music of natural English.
Right. And critically, it should be content you actually enjoy. If you hate business news, don't force yourself to watch it. If you love gardening or true crime or video games, find podcasts and YouTube channels about those topics.
That is the key. It has to be sustainable, and it's only sustainable if it's enjoyable. When it stops feeling like studying and starts feeling like learning about something I'm passionate about, that's when the magic happens. Your brain is so focused on the content that it absorbs the language as a byproduct.
You start to develop an intuition for what sounds right, which is so much more effective than trying to remember a grammar rule from a book you read 5 years ago.
But of course, input alone isn't enough. You can't get better at swimming by only reading books about swimming. At some point, you have to get in the water. You have to speak.
And this is where that fear comes back in. So, how do you start speaking when you're terrified?
You start on the lowest difficulty setting. You find low stakes situations. A low stakes conversation is any conversation where the outcome doesn't matter. If you make a mistake, there are no negative consequences.
Like ordering a coffee.
Perfect example. Or asking for directions, making small talk with the cashier. These interactions are short, they're predictable, and they're safe. They let you practice and build tiny little bits of confidence.
Another thing I love is using the voice memo app on your phone. No one ever has to hear it. Just record yourself summarizing an article you read or talking about your day for 60 seconds. It gets you comfortable with the physical act of producing English words.
That's a fantastic idea. It's about moving words from your passive knowledge into your active use. You're building the neural pathways, so the words are there when you need them in a real conversation. It's like a rehearsal with zero pressure.
So, what happens when someone is doing all this? They're listening, they're practicing in small ways, and they just feel stuck. They hit that dreaded plateau where it feels like nothing's improving.
Everyone who learns anything hits a plateau. It's not a sign that you stopped learning. It's actually a sign that your brain is doing incredibly important work under the surface. It's consolidating everything you've learned, making it automatic.
That makes sense. It's like when you're working out, you don't see muscle growth every single day, but the consistent effort is causing changes. The plateau is just part of that process.
Exactly. The key is to trust the process and just keep going. Keep up with your listening, keep finding those small moments to speak. The breakthrough will come. Progress in language learning isn't a straight line, it's a series of plateaus and sudden jumps.
And I think the real theme here, under all these strategies, is self compassion, being kind to yourself. We are often our own harshest critics.
It's so true. You wouldn't tell a friend who is learning a new skill that they're stupid for making a mistake, but we say that to ourselves in our own heads all the time.
We do. We need to reframe mistakes. A mistake isn't a failure, it's just a data point. It's your brain figuring things out. Every error is a valuable piece of information that gets you closer to where you want to be.
I love that. A data point. It's such a powerful reframe because it takes all the shame out of the process. So let's say our listeners have embraced this compassionate mindset. They're immersing themselves in content they love, they're practicing in low stake situations. What's the next level? How do they bridge the gap from simple conversations to actively participating in complex, fast paced discussions without reverting to that slow, stressful mental translation?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? The answer is learning to think directly in English. And I know that sounds like this huge, impossible mountain to climb, but it's really a series of small, manageable hills. It's about intentionally short circuiting that translation process.
Exactly. It's about starting ridiculously small. Don't try to think in English about complex philosophical ideas. Start by narrating your immediate environment in your head. As you're making coffee, think, I'm opening the cupboard. I'm taking out a mug. The water is boiling. It feels silly, but you're building a new habit. You are creating a direct link between the real world object or action and the English word for it, completely bypassing your native language.
hmm It's a shift from a study mindset to a use mindset. It's about integrating the language into your life in small, enjoyable, and consistent ways, and being patient with the messy, non-linear process of it all.
Well said. It's about finding your own voice in a new language and accepting that it might sound a little different from your first one, and that's perfectly okay.